speakers.
Active tabling going on.
Yeah, there should be cookies.
Okay, cool. Just starting to put them up, but only on the like
Best friends. Yeah. Thank goodness.
Oh, by the way, for trans, why do we get ice cream? Did they ever ask you? It's 4 to.
My name is Rachel Wonderscheid, and I'm the Outreach Coordinator for the Women's Center at the university.
Hello, my name is Carmen Layton, and I am the Volunteer Coordinator at the Women's Center. Take Back the Night is an opportunity for victims of sexual assault, domestic violence, hate crimes, and rape to have one safe night each year to collectively confront these problems and speak out, rally, and march to reclaim our streets. Take Back the Night first began in Belgium in 1976 with the International Tribunal Crimes Against Women rally, and since then it has become a worldwide and campus-wide event.
This year, at our Take Back the Night, we want to focus on the theme of breaking the cycle of violence and enabling survivors to re-engage with the community. This is an empowering event for people who have never been able to tell their story before. We need to focus on the oppression of guilt, shame, and the self-deprecating issues that come along with abuse and assault, but we also need to look at how to get past these issues. Tonight we have a really inspiring lineup of speakers who are going to talk about some of the causes of these cycles and some of the ways to get out of them as well. And we've named our night, our 2008 Take Back the Night, Confined No More.
So first we would just like to throw a thank you out at all the people who have helped to organize this event and sponsor this event. So we have the YWCA, the We Are Missoula Coalition, Forward Montana, SARC, ASUM, the Lambda Alliance, who let us down here, and the Rugby Girls. We would also like to thank all of the wonderful businesses who donated items. And it looks like you guys are all keeping warm with the coffee and the tea and the bagels. So this could not have happened without any of these sponsors. And thank you guys for coming out tonight and showing your support as well.
Just in case any issues arise out of any of the speakers, what anybody says tonight, there are SARC volunteers wandering around, and they have either gray or green armbands on, and you can grab one of them and talk to them. There they are. We want to thank them for helping us out tonight as well. But also, definitely, there's a tent back over there if you would like to grab one of them and talk to them. Also, I want to draw attention to the Silent Witnesses, which is a program designed to draw attention to local women who have been killed because of domestic violence. And so if you can take a moment to read their stories and think about it and try and remember them. And then also, if at any, there are armbands circulating that are purple and light purple. The light purple are for survivors of any of these violences that have been committed. And then the dark purple are survivors. So show your colors if you want. Supporters. Sorry.
To begin the evening, we would like to bring light to the incredible statistics that have been cataloged for this year regarding sexual assault. So 1 in 6 women and 1 in 33 men will face sexual assault in their lifetime. These are disheartening facts, and even more so that 60% of these crimes are not reported to the police.
We're hoping that this event will spur all of you to be aware and to get other people in your lives aware of these issues, and stop being, and make it so that we're no longer statistics or victims after assault, but make it so that we can heal and be strong about these issues.
Okay, so our first speakers are Brenda Erdely, and she is from Missoula Pre-Release, and 3 lovely women, Marilyn Thomas, Patsy Baker, and Jennifer Legland, who have volunteered to share their stories with us tonight. So if you could please join us in welcoming them on stage.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. My name is Brenda Erdely, and good job. And I'm the treatment coordinator at Missoula Pre-Release Center in the Women's Unit. I imagine that for some of you here, that doesn't really explain much of anything. But essentially what it means is that I oversee and coordinate the treatment for all the women that are in pre-release. Women come to pre-release all share one thing in common. They've all been convicted of felony crimes. And based on that, they are confined. They are inmates. They have lost privileges, and they have lost a lot of their rights. They come from the Montana Women's Prison. They come from Department of Corrections treatment facilities. Some of them come straight out of county jail in Orange. They all come with a file that lists out for me in black and white what they've done, that they've been charged and convicted of. And they're not pretty things. I mean, a lot of these women have done some bad things in their lives, but it doesn't make them bad people. And when I meet with them, and I get a chance to meet with all of them, I get to read their story, and I get to spend time with them, and I get to hear their story. And while I'd like to say that, it might be easy for me to say, well, they were abused, or they did this and they did that, and I could excuse away their behavior, it's not that simple. Abuse is part of who they are. It's not all of who they are, but it's part of who they are. And because of that, and I can't say that I've rarely ever met a woman who's not been abused sexually, physically, and all in all emotionally at some point in her life. Abuse has led to other things in their life. Abuse has led to finding comfort in a bottle, finding courage in a pill, finding a way to ease anxiety by drugs or alcohol. But does it make him bad? Does it make him worthless? No. They've resorted to become involved in unhealthy relationships. They sought out maybe reassurance from others who didn't appreciate them for who they are. They hung out with people and sought acceptance in places that led them into dark decisions. Does that mean that they're incapable of learning from their mistakes? Does that mean that they don't deserve another chance? No. I work with women who are wanting to end that, who don't want to be confined by those shadows anymore, those places that haunt them and that lead them down roads and to do things that they are ashamed of, that they want to forgive themselves for, and that they want to move on. Being confined is no fun. Having people control your lives, it's pretty insufferable at times. And I couldn't imagine what it's like to do this and to be in their shoes. And for the fact that I really hope for them that they find, through this learning process, through life, to find the courage to stop being victims and trying to, and perpetuating the violence in their own lives, to stop having those shadows haunt them, to stop seeking solace in things that don't fill the void, to find comfort in friends and in family, and to find strength in themselves to stand up and say, I'm not going to let you talk to me like that anymore, and I'm not going to resort to this drug or to this bottle to seek solace in my pain and my comfort. I'm not going to isolate. I'm not going to let you walk in my house with that beer bottle. I'm not going to let myself go in the bar to escape what I need, what's going on in my life. I'm not going to feed the machine. I'm not going to do this, and I'm not going to be defined anymore by things that have happened in my past. I'm going to move on, and I'm going to learn to love myself and appreciate everything around me. And so when I was asked to do this, I wasn't really sure what I was going to say, and still wasn't sure until about even an hour ago. But one thing I was sure is that the story about violence and surviving abuse is not my story to tell. All of these women up here that have volunteered to be here tonight have really amazing lives and really survived a lot, and I don't know what I would have done if I was in their shoes. And that's to be said for every single woman at the pre-release center. I hear some really amazing things, stuff that sometimes makes me cringe and other times make me pick up the phone and call the ones I love and just tell them how much I love them. And it really makes you appreciate any safety you do have in your life. So with that being said, these women up here volunteered, and originally there was about 8 that said they wanted to come speak, and then that number dwindled rapidly as the date approached. So the fact that these 3 are up here, it takes a huge amount of courage. And my hat's off to you. This isn't easy, and it's empowering. And I hope that that telling their story tonight is a notch they can put on the belt to say, I did something about this. I'm taking steps to stop, and to empower myself and to say this isn't okay. And things that happen in our communities, these things can't happen anymore. So with that being said, the first woman that I have the honor and the privilege to introduce is Miss Marilyn Thomas. Marilyn?
Hello. My name is Marilyn Thomas. Oh, sorry. That's my first time ever speaking to anybody, really. But really about what's happened to me through my lifetime. I'm 54 years old, and I've never really been incarcerated in my whole life. This is my first time, and I have realized that this has got to stop. And I, for the first time, went into the Montana Women's Prison. I went to the Intensive Challenge Program, and it was really intense. It made me look at myself a lot harder than I usually do, and I kind of had to really take a really deep look at where my life has been and how I got to this point in my life. And where it stemmed from was my childhood, which was really what I'm not making any excuses, but it was really rough. I was abused since I was 6 years old. I was taken from an orphanage by my sister and my brother-in-law. My brother-in-law abused me mentally, physically, and sexually from the age of 6 to the age of 14. And at the age of 14, I had my first child, and I gave her up for adoption. That was really hard. And from all the anger that I have had in my life that I've stuffed, I threw myself into a bottle and drugs. And being that I went into this ICP program, I really got to look at what I've done to people, other people, through my anger, and how I affected people around me, because I threw everything that I could at everybody that I was throwing it at people that I've been angry at for many years. And it was a hard road to hoe, because I stuffed it for so many years, and that's the first time I ever looked at it. First time, because it was so devastating that I just blacked it out. And I'm glad I went through the ICP program. I really am, because it saved my life. Because if I didn't do that, I think I would be in a lot worse place than I am now. And I am very thankful to everybody that's really kind of, I'd say, kicked me in the butt because of what I've put on people. And I've had, oh God, a lot of things that I did to other people just to justify, and I justify my anger. And it started to come to a head when I started victimizing my victims. I became the victimizer because I was a victim all my life. And it really isn't a nice place to be. It's really sad now that I look at it, and it's not fun. It's really not fun to be on both sides of the road, to be a victim and then turn it around and be the victimizer. Because, for the longest time I never even thought about who I was hurting. I only thought about myself and what they've done to me all my life. And I really didn't look at it as, me hurting anybody. I never thought of it that way. I just kind of, said, oh, well, they did this to me or they did that to me, and so, hey, I'm going to do the same thing. But I didn't think about it as being the victim. I was a victim. I wasn't thinking about it as being the victimizer, because I just turned everything around in my life. Now that I've got kind of a sort of a handle on what it is that I've been through, I've still got a long ways to go. It's a day-to-day. Every day I have to think about things that I've done, just to stay on the straight and narrow, because it's just devastating. It's just kind of devastated my whole life because I've affected a lot of people around me, my children, and my husband, and some of my friends that I've pushed away. So, it's just I am thankful that I am right where I am now because it's time to stop. It's time to quit, and it's time to take a hard look at quit being the victim and quit being the victimizer, and to be somebody that could come and help someone else that might need the help, and to be able to talk about it is another thing that is going to help me, because it's just not the way to go. And I can't right now blame my victimizers all through my life, because I've taken a good look at where they were at and where I was at, and I have to take my life and forgive, because if I don't forgive me, I can't forgive anybody else. So I'm here tonight to say that I am going to start to forgive myself and keep going on forward and not look back, because if I look back, there's nothing but darkness back there, and there's just nothing but light in front of me, because I know where I'm going and how to deal with it much better now. So thank you.
Thank you, Marilyn. So the next two ladies that are going to speak have something they worked out together, and their names are Patsy Baker and Jennifer Legland.
Can you hear me? Who are you?
I am a daughter of a policeman. I am a recovering addict. I am a compassionate advocate for animals. I am a past victim of rape and domestic violence. I am a loving daughter. I am a college graduate. I am growing stronger. Who are you?
I am Patsy Faye. I am a mother of 3 boys and 3 girls. I am Native American. I am a recovering addict. I am a loving wife, a loving auntie, and I am forever courageous.
Together,
We are
survivors. What shadows hide in the past? What do they look like? Emotions.
Addiction, promiscuity, smiles, and anger. The emotions are fear, anger, no voice, no one listens to me, no rights, no say. Oh, wait. What shadows hide in your past? What do they look like?
I am a girl forced to grow up too fast, lost childhood, turning to drugs and violence, leading me to lose more than I ever could imagine. Fear and nightmares, insecurity and confusion, anger and depression.
Where did this take you?
To a darkness within myself that infected everything around me, around dangerous people and situations that have helped make me the person I am today. Where did these take you?
Taken away from my family for 1.5 to 2 years. Addiction, rape, victim, victimizer, and locked up. What does the cycle of destruction look like?
For me, it went from bad to worse, almost insane, then back again. I would clean up and get some time together, get a good job, and blow it. The more I'd use, the angrier I'd get. What does the cycle of destruction look like?
Stuffing everything, denial, addiction, denial, victim, victimizer, and ultimately incarceration.
We hit rock bottom. Where did it take you?
A 9-month treatment, a minimum security, pre-release, away from family, kids, husband, and my extended family. Where did it take you?
It took me away from what I love and who I love by me letting my addictions and abuse take control and getting locked up.
What did you learn?
I have learned that it's not my fault that a lot of things happen to me and the ones I love. I've also gained self-confidence and strength through treatment and therapy. What did you learn?
I've learned forgiveness, how to love me and others, gratitude, and faith. Oh, wait, do I ask you? Oh, yeah. Where are you going to, wait, where are you going to go?
I'm going to be free of bondage of my mind and my active addiction. I'm also going to succeed in my career and life and get out of the correctional system forever. Where are you wanting to go?
To further my education, continued recovery, to be a role model for mine and all children, freedom to live, love me and my husband and my new lifestyle.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Let's give him another round of applause. I would next like to bring up Dr. Casey Charles. He's a professor at the university. Some of you may have had him. And he focuses on gay and lesbian studies. He focuses on the law. He focuses on critical theory, among many other things. And he's a wonderful addition to our evening. I'd like to bring him up.
Welcome to Take Back the Night. There's so many my friends here, I want to call it Gay Back the Night. Kind of. Anyway, when asked to speak to you tonight and after those testimonies, I feel as if, I really, in some ways, don't even have a right to be up here. But since I think about these problems more than, other than being assaulted once in a while verbally, haven't experienced the same violence that others have. So when I was asked to speak tonight about Taking Back the Night, I thought immediately of a colleague of mine who has asked specifically not to have her graduate classes scheduled at night at the university. We usually hold grad classes from 7 to 10 so working students can take them. She told me she does not feel comfortable walking down the halls of the LA building after hours or across campus to her car at 10:15 at night. I remember trying to talk her into it because of our tradition of holding the classes at night. And now, as I thought about this interaction, I had sudden understanding of what it means for a woman to feel fear right here in Missoula, what it means to clomp down a long, well-lit, empty corridor into darkness alone. I cannot know her feeling. I can only multiply my own sense of fear as a gay man, and as a man who passes as straight quite often, as a man who is 6 feet, even though much of this fear is itself real. I must multiply it by a factor of 10 in trying to understand her discomfort, her heartbeat, her vigilance, her sense of danger, real or imagined, which we all carry around us, even though we live in a relatively safe environment compared to, say, the capital of Honduras, or parts of Palestine, or Baghdad. We have come here, I think, to think about who has taken the night from us, how we can get it back, and even more basically, what is the night that we are struggling to regain? One of the things that I have learned from studying hate crimes is that the night will never be entirely take-backable. We cannot legislate acceptance, gender and sexual equality, respect, and nonviolence. And even if we could, we cannot make everybody obey those laws. The night, whether it is literal or figurative darkness, is both inside and outside us. It is both deeply ingrained by an ideology of fear that fabricates it where it does not exist, and at the same time, a real phenomena that is bruising the bodies and psyches of straight and gay, woman and man, on our bridges, outside our libraries, in our dormitories, our bedrooms. The night comes with scrawled fag jokes, ripped posters, verbal and physical assaults, with sexist comments in classrooms, with relationships that move from lovemaking to force. We cannot point a finger at one person and say that George Bush has taken the night from us by aligning our government with torture, or that Frenchtown high school punks who broke Wally's jaw are the source of the night. We cannot condense the night into drunken frat boys on the corner of Broadway outside AmVets at midnight. We can't condense it into a date rape, a partner who demands sex even if we are not in the mood. The night is in us and outside of us, and the sooner we realize that, the closer we can come to taking it back, I think. Regaining the peace we feel when we sleep under the stars in the rattlesnake in the summer, or let the darkness fall over us under the covers of our bedroom listening to the rain. Or walk across campus or down the street at night, feeling the breeze and loving the shadows as our eyes adjust to the moonlight. We must separate the night from fear and find ways to make our community more supportive, aware, friendly, good Samaritan, and unafraid to talk to and trust strangers. But how do we get there? How do we make the night a place of connection? As someone who has worked for the civil rights of queers in Missoula for many years, and one who daily thanks women in gender studies for their promotion of gay and lesbian work, I can unequivocally say that the night comes back to me through making contact and making justice. Ironically, taking back the night is a kind of scary proposition in itself. My heart beats hard when I tell a dean candidate that spousal accommodation is also called, or should be called, partnership accommodation. When I tell administrators that queer kids in our high schools are getting beat up and mistreated on a daily basis. When I write, I knew everything was going to blow away. When I write to my congressman and tell him that we need to protect queer kids in Anaconda and Seeley Lake from violence. When I face the fear of telling people whom I love. And even when I have the courage to call the police or fill out a form, when guys yell, "Fuck you, faggot," when I'm walking down the street at night. Taking back the night is, after all, a kind of risky, scary business. It makes me uneasy to walk in front of right-wing legislators who condemn homosexuals to hell and tell them I deserve to be treated with respect. It is frightening to bring home someone of the same sex who you love and introduce them to your parents or your straight friends. It is kind of scary to be out, and the courage of the women that just talked to us attests to that. After all, for women to call men, it is quite scary on their presumptions about what their girlfriends want. But taking back the night is also fun, I think. It's about finding people who want the night back too, about marching together through the night and feeling what it's like to be in a group that knows firsthand how frightful the night can be, and on the other hand, what it's like to lift that burden and shuffle down a sidewalk at 2 a.m. It exhilarates to finally find the night approachable, it seems to me, to be acquainted with a different kind of night, a night of campfires and strolls by the river, a night of lunar eclipses, a night of meeting, cruising, feeling charged about being out in it, in the space that is public and ours. And one thing I wanted to do before I finished was actually try to have you, because I think taking back the night is about connection. So it would be really great if right now, this is really corny and kind of touchy-feely, but I'm from California, so you kind of have to go with it. Find somebody you don't know and go up to them and shake their hand or give them a hug or something so we can start taking back the right now. Now, you can't turn to somebody that's your best friend or your lover, but do it right now. Kind of, this is a way to take back the night, I think. So that's kind of what I think taking back the night is. It's kind of like making Missoula into a big plaza where we can all dar un paseo at any time with and without our friends. And it kind of reminds me of those towns in Mexico and Spain where they have those big plazas where everybody comes out at 9 o'clock and walks around. And it would be really nice to be able to, Missoula has some of that, but it would be really nice to have that at night. I think that's why we're here, to make the night a place of connection, of sitting on the grass in Karas Park in the summer. We are the guardians of that night. And as we look to one another, friends and strangers around us, we need to commit to take some steps through the dark, I think, by fighting for our rights, by calling on all to respect our race, our gender, and our sexuality, by turning nightmares of violence that still haunt our town into a dream that includes zero tolerance for discrimination, and most importantly, a trust that everyone will learn the practice of nonviolence and think of it as a celebration of freedom and joy. For Epicurus, the present moment was divine, not because imbued with godliness, but because it was precious. Because those moments when we feel standing here together that the night is ours and everyone's are the instances and the initiation of cherishing right now, the night right now, even though it's still light. But for Epicurus, the preciousness of the material reality brought with it a responsibility to guarantee that preciousness, to make that night worthy of its own beauty in the moment, to bring ourselves together to ignite the night with our passion for integrity. You may say that I'm a dreamer, John sang, but I don't think I'm the only one. This is not the only night, but it is a start, and I'm honored to join you in making this night a friend, a good friend who I can rely on. Thank you very much for inviting me. Thanks, Carmen.
Well, from firsthand experience, he is a great professor, and I encourage you to take his lit class. I learned a lot about myself and other things I wasn't sure I wanted to admit I already knew about myself in that class. So next we have Caitlin Koppel, and a lot of you may know her. She works with the YWCA as marketing director. She used to be an editor of Outwards, and she's just kind of a feminist babe. So if we could welcome Caitlin Koppel.
Hi, everybody. Thanks for coming out tonight in this lovely Missoula spring night we have here. So, I'm really proud to be here on behalf of the YWCA Missoula where I work, but I'm also really proud to be here as a queer woman in our community. I'm really happy that the Take Back the Night organizers have included the queer community so much in this event, and this is my first Take Back the Night, so it's really exciting to be a part of it. I kind of like Casey, I kind of had the same thought, like, oh, you know, I don't know if my experiences have really been that bad, or, you know, like maybe I don't deserve to share my story because so many women have experienced such horrible things in their lives, and, you know, we're really here to talk about sexual violence and violence against women in all of its forms. But I want to talk a little bit about one of the things that confines me and a lot of my friends, and that's homophobia. Up until last Sunday, I always felt pretty safe in Missoula. I had read and written about a lot of the hate crimes against gay people and heard lots of stories from friends, but I hadn't really experienced anything firsthand. And last Sunday, my girlfriend Catherine and I were walking across the North First Street pedestrian street bridge and we were just heading downtown for dinner, and it was actually not even night yet. So it was still daylight. But there was a group of about 5 high school age boys, like maybe 15 or 16, hanging out on the bridge. And we walked by them and kind of headed down and kept walking past them a little ways. And we didn't get too far. And then they started yelling, "Lesbos, lesbians!" And we're like, oh, God, what do we do? And so I was like, you know what? I'm just going to call the cops, because the cops are always saying they need to hear these stories. And that if we're going to get hate crimes legislation, we have to talk about this stuff. So I made the phone call and got off the phone, and then the boys started following us, and this time they were yelling "fucking cunts," which to me is a little bit, scarier. The language kind of got stepped up a notch. So I called the police back, and they never did find the boys, and we got turned onto a busier street and had our dinner, but called for a friend to drive us home. We didn't really feel comfortable walking. And since I moved to Missoula in 2005, there's been at least 4, pretty high-profile attacks on gay people, and we all know countless more go unreported. So I guess a lot of people would say that Catherine and I were lucky, but, I think it's a pretty sad day in Missoula when we say that the young women who were walking across the street bridge are lucky because they were only called fucking cunts. I mean, what kind of world is that? Like, I don't think that's the Missoula that I want to live in. And I think another thing that gets said a lot is to queer people is, don't flaunt it. Like, why were you holding hands? Maybe you shouldn't cut your hair so short. Maybe you shouldn't look like such a dyke. And I think that's a variation on the same thing they've been saying to women for years and years and years, which is like, why were you wearing that short skirt? Why were you drunk that night when you got raped? And why were you walking by yourself? Don't you know better? And I'm glad that at least tonight that we can stand together and know that it's not our fault, that we didn't ask for it, whether we're women, whether we're gays and lesbians, whether we're trans, whether we're Native Americans. We don't ask to be confined by homophobia and sexism and racism. I don't know. I just want to join with you tonight in imagining a kind of Missoula that's safe and welcoming for all people to walk down the streets at night, regardless of what they look like or who they love or if they're alone. So I know a lot of you probably came here tonight because you're a survivor of violence or because you're close to someone who's a survivor. And in my work at the YWCA, as many of you know, we work to eliminate racism and empower women. But we help not only those who have endured unimaginable terror in their homes or on the streets, but we also reach out to their family and friends and the supporters in the community to help them heal. Many times family and friends have called us to ask, what they can do to support someone who's been raped or assaulted. And I just want to share with you a few things that you can do to help empower women or men that you may know who have been through something like that. First of all, just believe them. Sexual assault happens to 1 in 4 women, and that number is even higher for women in college. They did a study in the mid-90s at UM, and it was 1 in 3 women at UM had been sexually assaulted. And 1 in 3 people know someone who has experienced physical violence too. So, and even though we are gathering in the streets tonight, I think it's important to recognize that about 80% of rapes don't happen in dark alleyways. They happen, people are usually acquainted with their perpetrators, and they happen at parties when women are more likely to be intoxicated and unable to give consent. And I think it's also important to remember that usually the first person that a survivor turns to is a friend or family member and not a direct service provider like the YWCA. So it's really important that that first person who hears the story is able to talk in a way that empowers the person and doesn't make them feel like it's their fault. So survivors tell us over and over that the most helpful thing you can do is listen compassionately to their story and try to create a safe and confidential space for them to share what has happened. Just try to help them see that no one deserves to be assaulted. Some of the best things to say can just be like, I believe you, it wasn't your fault, you did the best you could. And ask before you give them a hug, since touch might not be the most comforting thing for someone who has just been assaulted. And let them choose the path of recovery that works for them. As much as you want them to report to the police or get a forensic examination, it's not helpful to pressure people. Sexual assault makes people feel powerless, and by empowering survivors, you can help them begin to heal. I just want to thank you all again for coming out tonight, and if you want any more resources, the YWCA is always available. We have a 24-hour crisis line, and if you head to the SARC tent, they can hook you up with all the resources you could ever want. Thanks so much for coming out.
It turned off on me for a sec. Okay, everyone, now we're ready for the march part, which is really exciting to take back our Missoula streets. I would like to let you know two things. One, after the march, if you'd like to come back to the courthouse, we're going to be having a healing survivors circle that's been put on by SARC. So you can come and join if you're a survivor or a supporter. And then the other thing is, what we're going to do is, you've got all those handy-dandy maps, so take a look at them. And we're going to stay on the sidewalks until we get to Higgins. So we're going to follow Nicola with the megaphone, and we're going to make Missoula ours again. We're going to take back the night.